So today I want to talk about women and investing. Uh, Financial advisors are for sure losing revenue, and society as a whole is accumulating less wealth because we're essentially ignoring women. Now, I've said this before, so just a quick recap, but the problem with society is that we are not saving enough money. We want to retire, and we want to be able to retire without running out of money before we die, but we're not saving enough for that to be true. We are switching from defined benefit plans to defined contribution plans. That is in turn shifting an actuarial risk, which can be diversified away with defined benefit plans, to a place, defined contribution plans, where it cannot be properly diversified away. Now, I talk about these things in these two videos down here in more detail. I suggest you take a look at those. But back to women, let's think about relationships with advisors, all right? If an advisor is meeting with a couple, they will spend 60% of their time focused on the man. They also will assume that it's the man that makes all the financial decisions. They will assume that if the couple is married, that their funds are in fact merged and jointly invested, which is clearly not always the case. And they will assume that women are more risk averse, which is in fact largely true, but it's an assumption that can be overcome with education and knowledge. And you're saying, well, Brian, what if the woman is in fact the bread earner of the family? Even if that is the case, the advisor will assume, 51% of them will assume, that even though she's the breadwinner, that the man makes the actual decisions. And shockingly, even when the woman is the bread earner, the man himself will only think that she makes the decisions 8% of the time. Now, the other thing that's happening is younger women are not putting up with this. So women under 45 years of age are definitely approaching things differently, and they're not putting up with this kind of thing. However, it's also interesting that this relationship between the advisor and the woman, which is clearly not that good, is something that could benefit both parties tremendously. All right? Women could use an advisor because they aren't particularly involved in their investments. They have not saved nearly as much for retirement as men have. They are much less likely to invest in the stock market, which is of course a solid long-term investment. They're less confident and they're less knowledgeable. They clearly could use advisors to help change this. All right. But on the other hand, advisors could really use women because, for one, they're much more open to getting investment advice. Women are much more likely to want an advisor than men. Once an advisor has given the woman the confidence and knowledge to invest, they end up having better returns than men do. They're much more patient investors, which empirically leads to more success. Once they have a relationship with an advisor, they're much more likely to recommend the advisor to others, bringing you more business. Now, the downside of this is if you don't treat them right, they're much more likely to just leave you, where a man might say, file a complaint or whatever. But clearly, there's a major issue here. Women would be much better off with advisors, and advisors would be much better off for women. Society would be better off because we've accumulated more wealth. Now, let's think about risk. We said before, women are in fact more risk averse than men. This is especially true when they don't have an advisor. Now, interestingly, when they do have an advisor, the risk aversion doesn't change that much. It does change that much when they have a man advisor. But when they have a woman advisor, their risk tolerance increases by 2.5%, increases dramatically. It puts them in this place where now, with the confidence and knowledge, they get the better returns than men. They have become more patient investors, right? And with a woman advisor, they start making their own decisions, whereas with a male advisor, they just leave it to him almost entirely. So I'm going to give you a free piece, a huge hunk of advice. If you are an RIA, if you're an investment advisor, you need to find a way to speak with the women on a one-on-one basis with a woman advisor. So even if you have a couple, heterosexual couple, they come in together, you speak with them, you want to find some way to separate them and talk and speak with the woman. This will lead to revenue growth. And stop. So again, this is a no-brainer. Start speaking with women, start educating them, getting them involved. It's a no-brainer. They're better at investing than we are as men. And as advisors, you're growing your business. Thanks so much for listening.